Hello everybody, this is Trina. I am back with another card making video from my idea book here. This is kind of the idea that I have using the products here, possibly more, possibly less. I don't know. It's always a surprise when it comes down to it. I do believe I will be using this as well, which is from the I believe it's the Stitched Borders die. I would have to look. Let me look real quick because I want to make sure I'm accurate with you guys. It is Decorative Borders from Close to My Heart. Now these ones are no longer available. However, there are a lot of second bag barter trade places that you can get your hands on them. Some consultants have them in their stash, some don't. You can find, there are places that you can find them. So anyways, I put this little kit together and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna put you guys on fast forward while I do this, and I hope you guys enjoyed the process. So I will see you in a second. Okay, so I'm gonna start by making my what do you call it? I want to say mask. It's kind of like a mask, kind of like a stencil. I'm just using the Decorative Borders die from Close to My Heart. I don't know that they offer these anymore. Last I checked, I didn't see any in stock. So, but if you have them, you can definitely use this, or you have your own, you can definitely use this same idea. So, I'm gonna go ahead and use this White Daisy pigment ink from Close to My Heart, and it is lovely. It is lovely, I would have to say. I've been wanting to play with it for a long time, so it's been on my to playlist, and I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed it, and I really like the product too, so that's a good thing. So as usual, anything that I use that's available, I will link in the description box below. And then, so I'm trying to dry this, because pigment ink takes a little bit of time to dry, so I kind of want to do multiple layers, so that it kind of looks like there's more, like it's kind of like a rolling hills kind of scene instead of just clouds, like they're sitting on clouds. So that's kind of what I'm going for now. One of the things that you can do with this stencil, or whatever you want to call it, you can flip it over to the other side and then you get the exact opposite, but you can move it and change it and make it look more like different hills instead of the same thing. So after I'm figure that I'm okay with this, which I go in and change it, of course, I just get some of the White Daisy and I sprinkle it on and make a snow on my background, which the whole point of this card was a snowy day, and that blue kind of really lends to like a cloudy, but not like dirty clouds, but more of a, just snow clouds. Snow clouds aren't very dark per se. They're, generally more white. And so I think it worked out nice. And then I went in and I used a little bit larger of a brush and got my bigger splatters from that, and I'm going to go ahead and blend out any splatters that ended up down on the base page, or the base, the stenciled part. So I'm going to go ahead and heat dry that, heat set that, heat dry it, whatever. And yeah, I'm trying to make sure I adjust my camera so that you guys can see up the up close things up close and the not so up thing not up. Wow. Good morning. It's early. Okay, it's not really early now, but I woke up really early. So, I'm like an 8:30 type person, and this 5:30 in the morning thing is getting kind of old. Well, actually now it's like 5. And so I think I'm just getting tired. So I went ahead and pulled out my Toffee and espresso color ink pads from Close to My Heart because I wanted to make sure that these deer looked like they had the right color to go on the blue. And I didn't want it too dark and I didn't want it too light, and I just kind of needed that perfect tone, and the Kraft I thought would help with that because it would kind of bring in a neutral I want to say natural color as well. And the Toffee won out on that one. I think if I wanted it to be more bold and less kind of, I don't know, I think if it was more bold, if I wanted it to be more bold, the espresso would work. So I went ahead and cut these out, and I went ahead and also trimmed out like in between their legs with my craft tool, X-Acto knife, whatever you want to call it. And see how that works. I like how they're not too dark for the page. Page, card, front, blue. Bear with me. I'll get it sooner or later. So now I'm going to go ahead and get started on my, oh, yes. I was going to start on my sentiment, and then I decided, you know what, these guys need snow on them. So I grabbed a marker, and it's a snow marker is what it's called, and it's by Marvy. And this one I believe is like has a 3mm tip is what it said on the marker. And you pretty much just draw it on and heat it up. And the more you draw on, the more snow you get. The less you draw on, the less snow you get. So you'll see I add a little bit more because the top one dried, and when it dries, it doesn't poof up. So you have to make sure that it actually heat dries so that it can expand that the liquid into poofy snow. Look at that dimension. I love it. And it really does look like snow's piled on there. It's gorgeous. So I will link that. I don't know where I got that one, but I will link it in the description box below if I can manage to find it. I'm pretty sure I can. I would assume Amazon would have it. I would assume several craft stores would have it too, so I'll definitely put a link or a couple links below depending on, what I find. So this Warm Wishes was from the Reindeer Crossing stamp set. The deer are as well. The Reindeer Crossing is the December stamp of the month, so you can only get it in December unless you're a consultant. If you're interested in that, I will leave a link in the description box below, or you can leave me a comment or contact me. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and heat this up and trim it out and make sure that it is the right size for my project. I think I trimmed off a little too much there, but it worked out, I guess. So, and here's where I kind of go in and I'm like, okay, where do I want to put them? I mean, my snowy hills are very, very low, and my sentiment, really eliminates the hills. You can't even really see them. So that's when I decided to go back in and put them back on there. And this time I'm kind of heavy-handed towards the edge of my blending tool, and so I'm more tapping than blending like you normally would. And so that kind of makes it darker white towards the top of the hills instead of the bottom of the hills. So that's kind of what I'm working on. And then I also go ahead and here's where I go over again, yes, again. But I like that you can layer them. You can get what you want it to be. And then of course, I realized, I'm putting a lot of this ink on here, and I could totally just put the snow on there, so maybe I should just try the snow. But I did want to make sure that I had, that my ink or my hills were up as high as I wanted them to be. So here we go, drying again, and then I think this is when I realized, you know what, I could totally do the heat or the snow marker. So and I go over this a couple of times to make sure I had the right amount, you know, per hill. So I didn't really need any behind the sentiment, but at the time I didn't know where the sentiment was going to go exactly, so I just went ahead and kind of smoothed out the dips in between the hills so that it looked more like hills instead of clouds. So, and I think the second go round, I actually zoom in a bit so that you guys can kind of see it. I hope you guys can see it puff up. It's actually pretty awesome to watch. Oh, there we go. I don't zoom in. Okay, so you can see it's just kind of drawn on there, and then as you heat it, it really just poofs and gives so much dimension. It's awesome. It looks so much like snow. Or insulation. I guess it kind of looks like insulation too, like the spray foam insulation. But yeah, I think it works great for this card. So yeah, so now I'm just kind of figuring out exactly where I want them, get my foam adhesive. I refilled my foam adhesive the other day, so it's nice and full. And of course, my trimmer did not trim all the way through the pieces, so I'm going to have to go back over that, I think. Or I could just do like I do on here, you'll see in a bit, that I actually just use my X-Acto knife and just kind of go through it. And one thing about this snow marker is that the snow is soft. So it's like puffy, like soft. And so if you smoosh it, it will smoosh. So do be careful of that. And then so a couple of mine were smooshed because I flipped them upside down and then pushed on them, and I just kind of took my fingers and kind of like squeezed them a little bit, and they kind of poofed back up a little bit. So I mean, obviously it's not going to be exactly the same, but so this I'm not cutting through the back, I'm just lightly cutting through the front side, you know, the front side of the adhesive. So, and this ends up crooked. I mean, like, it doesn't lay flat on the card, but that doesn't really bother me much. I mean, not many things are going to end up flat on, you know, mountains of snow. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead, and I had to add a little bit more on the end there, and I did try to like lift the corner of the sentiment to put some liquid adhesive under there, and it was stuck pretty good. So I was like, okay, well I guess that solves the problem. I don't really need that. So yeah, I'm looking everywhere for my bling because I brought out some bling, and I'm just going to add a couple of bitty sparkles, and then my card is done. It takes me a few seconds here to, oh, I do the inside too, because there is a coordinating sentiment for each of the main sentiments. So we've got Happy Holidays, and Warm Wishes and Merry Christmas, and then we've got Wishing You a Season of Faith, Hope, and Love, and it's the most wonderful time of the year, and then May the joy and the wonder of the season be yours. So, you know, each one you can mix and match and do whichever one you want to do. I've been doing mine on the inside instead of the outside, so it works. It works. So yeah. As you can see, I'm going to go ahead and use the same toffee color. I'm looking at it like, do I want to use the toffee? What does it look like? But I hadn't stamped any toffee on the blue cardstock, so I didn't know what it was going to be like, but it turned out just fine. I did stamp it twice just because I felt like it needed to be a little more, have a little more oomph, and it seems to be working out just fine. And then this one, I was like, I kind of want to add something here, but I don't know. Maybe I just want it over here. And that gives me room for any, writing that I want to do on the inside or anything like that. So I go ahead and just stamp this down, and my camera shut off and I didn't know it, so here's my card. I hope you guys enjoyed this process, and I will talk to you guys later. Again, the links in the description box are below, and yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.